All right, CrossFit Beacon, this video is going to give you a rundown of the philosophy behind the programming through CrossFit. So Beacon is a CrossFit affiliate. While we are in charge of our own programming, we do follow very closely along with the philosophy behind the CrossFit model for being fit, being healthy, and improving our lifelong fitness. So CrossFit's philosophy is about constantly varied, functional movement performed at a relatively high intensity. This is the recipe that gets us our results of improved fitness. Now, it is important to distinguish what we do for CrossFit between what an athlete does to train for their specific sport. Now, don't get me wrong, CrossFit could be your sport, and if so, this recipe will support you in achieving a high level of fitness in our sport of CrossFit. However, if your sport is running, then this model is not the model that you're going to see an Olympic runner use in order to PR their 100 time. Now, I'd argue that this type of cross training is beneficial. However, this is not sport-specific training. This is life training. So, constantly varied. What does that mean, and how will it appear, or how will it show up in classes? There's lots of things that we can vary in our training. You're gonna find that we vary the load we use. So sometimes we're gonna ask you to go heavy, sometimes we're gonna ask you to go moderate, sometimes we're gonna ask you to go light, and other times we're gonna ask you to use body weight alone. We can also vary the time domain of our workouts. Some of our shortest workouts last 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, whereas our longest workouts last upwards of an hour, and then everywhere in between. We also vary the interval of work and rest. So sometimes it's a straight effort for a long or one stretch of time. Other workouts are going to be work for a certain amount of time, rest for another. All of this variation is purposefully placed. It's not random, it's done on purpose and with intention. And the goal behind it is that rather than training you to be really, really good at one thing, like say, keeping the pace for a 5K race, we're training you for life. And in life, sometimes the race lasts an hour, sometimes it lasts for a 30-second burst of energy, sometimes it lasts for longer than that. So our goal is to prepare you for the unknown and unknowable challenges that might show up over the course of your day, or that you might choose to engage in for fun, like hiking a mountain, running and playing with your kids, or anything else. So that's constantly varied, always changing, but not in a random fashion. Our movements are functional in nature, so they mimic the way that our bodies move through our day-to-day lives. A squat is nothing more than sitting and standing from an object, be it a chair, the toilet, the ground. Taking an object off a high shelf and bringing it down, or taking something really heavy and getting it up over your head, that's a push press. So all of our movements are designed to train your body and prepare it to maintain its functionality. This is all about longevity. When we're all in our 90s, they're not gonna know what to do with us, right? Like, we're gonna be walking up and down stairs independently, we're gonna be sitting and standing off the toilet. Maintaining functional range of motion is essential to our ability to live independently. Now, relative high intensity. Relative high intensity means high intensity for us. So my high intensity is gonna be different from yours. It's different than Matt Frazier's, who's won the CrossFit Games so many times I've lost track. It's person specific. So this is definitely a place where individuality comes in within CrossFit. Relative to my comfort zone, I need to train at a high intensity. So this is where your coaches really come in and play a role. Your intensity could be by the weight you choose, the speed at which you move, the movement option that you choose. So matching up the proper intensity for you to continue to get results. Now, one way that we can plateau in CrossFit is when we get a little too comfortable, right? We get used to using the same weights, we get used to keeping our heart rate elevated to a certain level. And so adding intensity is one way to increase our fitness. Now in a later video, we will talk about the difference between intensity and mechanics and how mechanics always need to come first. So as you get started here at CrossFit Beacon, you're gonna notice the constantly varied aspects of our workouts. This is why it's really important to not cherry pick what days you come to the gym. If you only choose to come to the gym on the days that you like the looks of the workout, you're gonna stay good at the things you're already good at, and you're not gonna see improvements for the things that need some work. So for me, when I see running in the workout, and I immediately come up with about 18 excuses for why I can't make it to the gym that day, that's the day I need to be at the gym the most. Functional movement, making sure we're hitting our full range of motion and making sure that we don't compromise that full range of motion in order to add intensity. So training our squat always below parallel is gonna prepare us to sit down to a target that's below parallel. If we train our squat, maybe I can get a really, really heavy back squat, but that's my range of motion, it's not functional. Relative high intensity means that at the end of the workout, we have a feeling of, whew, I did it, versus a feeling of, that was easy. So matching our intensity to a level that's relative to us. So there you have it. This is the backbone of our programming philosophy here at CrossFit Beacon and CrossFit Worldwide. We're performing constantly varied functional movement at a relatively high intensity.